Hey folks, it's David back again with another video. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute. The last review I put up looks like it was Nosferatu 10 days ago. Yeah, that sounds right. I just wanted to jump on here and add a little addendum to that review. I watched a good review by somebody you may have heard of on YouTube, or maybe not. He doesn't have a huge channel, but I always enjoy his take on things for the most part. And I watched his review of Nosferatu, and this is the choice voice. This is Michael King, I believe is his name. Michael for sure is his first name. I've been watching his videos off and on for many years on YouTube, and he put up his review a few days back. Nosferatu, pretentious, overly heavy, dull, and boring. Spoilers. And I'll put a link to his review that I watched in the description of this video on Rumble, and then one day on YouTube whenever I get everything transferred over there. But I just wanted to get on here and say a few more things just to get some closure on the movie. And I don't need closure on Nosferatu the way I needed closure on those Smile movies, man. But again, I already explained all that and the differences between these horror films, that at least that I saw and that I appreciated. What it was watching Michael's video or listening to it, since I was in the truck driving when I listened to him, was that it made me realize I didn't explore some things as much as I should have in the film. And it's just something about me that I'm eager to give my take, to put up a review, to give my impressions and what I appreciated about whatever movie I just saw. And maybe the reason was that I just didn't feel the need in this particular case to explore the uh, supposed issue of sexual repression or whatever that some people have apparently commented are a theme in the film Nosferatu. I just didn't feel it was necessary to go down that road for what I did see of it, as far as what the director, what the movie makers might have been trying to commentate on in the movie. It just it just wasn't that big a deal. But when I watched Michael's review of the film, I just thought he's spending a minute on this and he's kind of pushing back on it, and I just appreciate that about him. But just the idea that you even need to go there just made me think, you know what? Let me go back and cover this just for a minute, just for the sake of doing it. Let me share a screen with you. This will be the only one that I share. Present, share screen, and go to Nosferatu director explains rebooting the 1922 film instead of adapting Dracula novel. Now this goes into, haven't even read all this, just goes into some of his rationale for going in the direction that he went. And I'm not gonna. You can read this if you like. I'm not gonna read this. I just wanted to give something to look at for a second, and maybe it would bring some things back to mind. Again, it's been a couple weeks since I saw the film, but well, you know what? Maybe I found something interesting here. The 1922 film, directed by F.W. Murnau, also ended in a way that Edgar's enjoyed more than the ending to Stoker's story. Quote, something that I really loved about the Murnau, I'm saying that name wrong, film is that it ends with the female protagonist being the heroine. I thought that it would be potentially more exciting in the whole film if the whole film is told through her eyes, because it had the potential to be more emotionally and psychologically complex than an adventure about a real estate agent. As much as it is a scary horror movie, and it is, there's even jump scares, it is a gothic romance, and it's a tale of love and a tale of obsession. Okay, I'll just stop that right there and just leave this on the screen while I go ahead and give the rest of my thoughts on what I was wanting to bring out. Michael mentioned how the olden times repression of women's uh, sexual uh, proclivities, that they were that women were not suffered. The suffrage movement had to become a thing that women were put upon and basically like slaves, and they were just meant to have babies and shut up and da 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 da. And I just didn't feel like even thinking about any of that stuff from the movie that I saw. And what it is, and Michael made the point of this in his review, is that there's the illusion that Count Orlok had potentially, or not potentially, just straight up molested her when she was a young girl. And you know what it is? I think the reason why I didn't even bother to try and talk about that aspect of the movie, if you want to interpret it that way, because it's open for interpretation. It's like they don't say hard and fast whether this happened or not. Like it's a possibility that that's what happened. And it would obviously make him evil, her a victim, and yet what it was her dialogue. It was depths. Uh, the actress's dialogue that is spoken in a way that it's like you should have given me subtitles or something, because they are so faithful. Well, not really faithful. They're a bunch of English speakers portraying this Germanic Gothic tale. So it's not faithful in that regard, the movie, but they're still trying to keep to an old world style of speech for the most part, at least to try and do so, but also make it deliverable to a modern audience so you can actually understand somewhat what in the world's going on, what's being said. But what it was the 2 or 3 times where she's kind of breaking down and trying to explain to different people, her husband, and other people, what happened to her and how she felt, and how I remember her saying something along the lines that was like she opened herself up to, like, in a moment of folly or inexperience or naivete or something. She got the butterflies, or you'd have to go back and watch the movie and find that scene where it happened, whatever it was in her mind or whatever, because in the imagery that they give in the very beginning of the movie, I remember, and it was really good looking as far as the spectacle of it, the way the sky was so bright, brightly lit, even though it was dark, like a full moon, and you can like see everything and how beautiful it was, and yet it's this kind of spooky. She's walking, the damsel or whatever is walking almost in her nightingale looking thing, uh, and then all of a sudden the jump scare where you see Orlok uh, on top of her or whatever for just a minute by the hedges or whatever in the moonlight, and it's like it's her first possession thing when she's spasming out or whatever. And the thing is, like I said, it's something that's open for interpretation. But the reason why I didn't even, oh man, it's Michael King's fault, and my fault for watching this particular review by Michael, the Choice Voice over on YouTube, is that I didn't even bother thinking about whatever commentary might be being made about women's sexual repressions or whatever, because when you look at the actual events of this movie and what her uh, repression, it didn't even make sense to me, the things that people might be trying to say about this, because like Michael said, it was like a chaotic thing, and yet Nicholas Holt's character, her husband in the movie, her being married to him, and her adamant wish that he not go away, but that she stay very close with him, was to her was giving her peace. It was giving her stability, having him there, her husband as this protector, as her betrothed lover, and all that, and that it had a way of drowning out this chaos or whatever from whatever this entity was, and you realize it's Orlok, however he came to be, whether he assaulted her as a child when she was vacationing in whatever hills of the country or whatever. It's not really explicitly said, and so that's why people make up all this stuff basically. But I like that point that Michael made, that at least the way I interpret it, is that this isn't some thing saying women ought to be allowed to just go and have whatever sexual freedom or whatever commentary people are trying to make. If I'm even making sense myself, because it doesn't make sense to me. When you look at the actual events of the movie, the people who died were her friends, his friends, these decent people, that whole family, and then she gives her own life willingly in order to stop the curse, in order to stop from her husband from dying, basically. And especially when I say it that way out loud, it is kind of a beautiful thing, very beautiful, even though it was gory and a horrible ending for her and Orlok uh, being cooked up in the sun. I just, I don't know why people would want to say this is a movie about women's. Maybe it's just the age we live in, and every idiot behind the keyboard that can't control themselves. They got to make these crazy theories, because it's like, look at whatever possible indiscretions or her inviting things into her mind in a sensual sexual way or whatever did to her and her mind and her life, and then what the curse did to her friends and her friends. They died. uh Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, his wife, they died. Their children, they died. These were the ones that the curse Orlok took out, literally. And so, yeah, I don't, I don't get it, folks. It's much more a worthwhile tale from that vantage point, that this is all, it's much more easily interpreted as a cautionary tale against those things than a tale saying, "Oh, well, look what happens when women are put upon," and blah blah blah. It, to me, the whole thing would be seen as just the opposite. Anyways, I don't know if I've even made any sense with with this video, but it yeah, maybe I'm glad I didn't put all this into that first review, because it would have been completely derailed, just like this video has been. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up and say maybe the critics just don't know what in the world they're talking about, and leave it there. Um, Thanks for listening to me for a while, folks. I'm going to go back. You know what? I'm not going to go back and listen to those comments again, because I think people just don't know what in the world they're talking about. And maybe people just want to hear and see what they want to hear and see, even when what they're hearing and seeing is the exact opposite. Anyways, till next time, thank you so much, and we'll see you again. Okay, I'm back again. But I promise I'm almost done. There's something I forgot to mention, something that Michael had brought out, and I remembered it almost as soon as I hit the stop record button a minute ago. So let me add this to this crazy addendum to this movie review. Michael had mentioned that when the character of Aaron Taylor Johnson, let me uh, let me look up the character's name real quick, just so that I'll get that much right. Um, he had mentioned that part of the movie where um, yeah, it was Frederick, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, that when he gets into the casket of his deceased wife, Anna Harding, played by Emma Corrin, that Michael said that it looked like they had had sex, as in necrophilia, because she was dead. And when he said that, I was like, what? I don't know if I just missed that part of the movie when I watched it or what, because what I remember was he was broken mentally, Friedrich. He was the man of reason. It's like, this isn't happening and it's preposterous. He did everything he could within his reasonable mind to help his friend and his friend's wife. Uh, let me get the names right again. I believe it was Coulter, Thomas Hutter, and Alan Hutter, Nicholas Holt, and Lily Rose Depp. everything that he could within his reasonable mind to help these people. And then when the plague, the bubonic plague, the curse, Nosferatu, when he causes their death, he causes her death and kills their children and everything, his mind like snapped. At least that's what I saw happen on the film. Because when he's in there, and he does do the thing where he embraces his dead wife's uh, body, he holds her head up. He had been coughing up blood though, as in he's gonna die too. He's got the he knows he's gonna die now too. But the way that ends, and you know what? Now that I remember it, he said, "Let us this night" or whatever. Da 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 da. I guess you could say that. That's what happened. I didn't really. The next scene that you see though, as far as they're concerned, was when Goblin, Willem Dafoe, and Hutter, when they come in there, and it happens so fast when he realizes, when they see that his friend is dead, he's in the casket with her. That's what, I guess that's what they're saying the film has happened, that he necrophiliized or whatever his dead wife's body before he died. He kicked the bucket himself because he's about to die of the plague. And when Michael King said that in his review of the movie, and he didn't think much of the movie, even though it looked good and for production, that they really immerse you in that period piece look, that everything looked the way it was supposed to. He just complained big time about these supposed themes of necrophilia, of sexual repression, and asking the question, is that really what I want to see in my vampire, my Nosferatu movie? And so that's what he was about. But I totally forgot that he mentioned the necrophilia thing, because I didn't attach the Aaron Taylor Johnson character to that. But looking back, because of the way it happened so fast, William Defoe's character is just, we must burn it all. We must like sterilize the place now because it's the plague again. He had the plague, and that's how he died. But I guess I just totally missed that part. But again, as far as these supposed themes of like why would you want to explore that in your gothic vampire movie? It's like, of all the things that you could do, and I finally understand Michael's critique now, and as much as he's asking why is that what we really want? Was that what audiences really wanted or whatever? So I get it now. I get it, and I just totally missed that part because I was just thinking, necrophilia. What are you talking about, man? Oh, you're saying the Aaron Taylor Johnson character, Friedrich, and did his dead wife? Oh my goodness, is that what you're saying? But because his clothing, he looked like disheveled and that his coat was off. I remember that part. I'm like, you know what? I guess that's what they're saying the movie happened in the movie. And I'm like, now I'm really seeing it Michael's way. I'm really seeing it in terms of why even go there? Why explore those particular things in this movie? But at least I understand his criticism now. But as far as the questions or the assertion that for the other theory about her being repressed or whatever, it's like I just can't. My brain can't compute that madness. Anyway, I'm finally done now. Wanted to get that off my chest and say in closing, probably not going to bother with any more vampire flicks in the near future. I'll probably go back one day and watch the Dracula movie that Keanu Reeves was in just to see how it compares to this thing. But that's probably going to be a little while before I do that. Anyway, okay, now I'm done. Thanks again for watching, folks. Take care.